So the general knowledge about the structure of the word that language users must have in order to, for example, maintain a conversation may also help us to arrive at the meaning of something. Okay? So here we may use the user's beliefs and even goals. Okay? Sometimes, when we maybe chatting with our friends, for us to know what the friends are talking about, we may need to apply our knowledge, our world knowledge, and this could be in the form of beliefs. And apart from beliefs, it may also be in the form of goals. Okay? So in view of this, a listener may need to know the following: the structure of the world knowledge. So the world knowledge that we're talking about here, is it about correct knowledge? Okay. So for instance, if we have in mind how a kilo of feathers, can we say that a kilo of feathers weigh less than a kilo of lead? Okay. But when you know your physics, when you try to compare something in terms of kilos, if something weighs a kilo and then another thing also weighs a kilo, you know that these two weigh the same thing. There's no way a kilo of feathers can weigh less than a kilo of lead. From your world knowledge, 1 kilo is equal to 1 kilo of another thing. Okay. And also knowledge about conversations. So apart from knowledge of the structure of knowledge, you may also want to know more about knowledge about conversation. Okay. So does this mean knowing about taking turns in conversation? Think about this one. Does this mean knowing about taking turns in conversation? Think about think about where you come from. Okay, because now we're talking about taking turns. If you are somebody, especially I would say somebody who is very young, who is having a conversation with somebody who is older, and it is seen that the younger person is not observing the turns, is not taking any turns, is not giving an adult or the older person to maybe explain something in detail, but the younger one is the one who is like dominating the conversation, then sometimes it is considered as rude. So it may be interpreted in a certain way. Okay? So knowledge about conversation. So having turns or taking turns is something that is important in certain cultures. You need to have some turns. You need to take some turns. Especially you need to give an adult person enough time. You shouldn't be, if you are younger, you shouldn't be the one dominating the conversation. And then, does this include knowledge about fight or knowledge about flight? Okay, you see that fight and flight are different words. Okay, in flight there's an L, in fight there's no L. So these two are different words. And for you to know more about fight and for also you to know more about flight, you need to have some knowledge about these two. And earlier on, we also indicated about beliefs, knowledge about beliefs and also goals. Okay, sometimes you may want or you may appreciate other people's beliefs when you know more about them, or other people's goals when you know more about them. But if you don't know more about other people's beliefs, then you have problems. It is difficult for you to interpret them. Okay, it is difficult for you to know whether what they are talking about makes sense or not. Okay, and then let's move on to look at the nature of meaning. Okay, we've seen the different aspects of meaning that we need to consider for us to arrive at the correct meaning. Okay, we've seen how semantic knowledge is important and also how pragmatic knowledge is also important. And then lastly, we've seen how word knowledge may also contribute to someone to arrive at the correct meaning of something. So it has been explained so far how relevant different types of knowledge are when it comes to meaning of words and sentences. And then here we see that a study of meaning should therefore account for these different types of knowledge. Semantic knowledge, word knowledge, as well as pragmatic knowledge. And then apart from these three different types of meaning, there are also other aspects of meaning, okay, that we need to talk about in this topic. And these other aspects of meaning are anomaly, synonymy, self-contradiction, ambiguity, and entailment. So anomaly, synonymy, self-contradiction, ambiguity, as well as entailment. All right. So when we look at the word, this aspect of meaning, anomaly, what is it all about? Okay. You know, anomaly is a term that is used especially to refer to phrases that are structurally or syntactically well formed, but do not make sense on their own. Okay. So sometimes you come across a phrase or you come across a sentence that is well constructed in terms of syntax, in terms of grammar, it is fine. But when you try to come up with the meaning of that particular sentence, you find that it does not make sense at all. Okay, so we have two examples here. The first one is colorless green ideas slip furiously. Okay, and then his typewriter has bad intentions. These two sentences, colorless green ideas slip furiously. We're talking about something that is an abstract, something that is abstract, something that does not does not live. Okay, a non-living thing sleeping furiously. This is very awkward. And then moving on to the second one, his typewriter has bad intentions. A typewriter is also another non-living thing. It does not have any intentions. It's only a human being, a living thing, that can have intentions. So sentences are well formed, but they do not make sense at all. So this is what anomaly, is all about. Okay. And also, to arrive at meaning, we may also need to consider another aspect of meaning, which is regarded as synonymy. Okay. The term synonymy is normally used to refer to words or phrases with the same meaning. Sometimes it is possible to find maybe two words or even more, okay, that have the same meaning, or even phrases, a number of phrases that have the same meaning. Okay. We have an example of the needle is too short is synonymous with the needle isn't long enough. So the meaning of the needle is too short is similar to the meaning of the needle isn't long enough. Okay. Moving on to another aspect of meaning, which we refer to as self-contradiction. Normally self-contradiction is used to refer to a situation whereby we have somebody who is trying to come up with an idea that is not consistent with another one that he was trying to illustrate. Okay, another one that he was trying to talk about. Okay, so self-contradictory statements in this case contain or express two or more ideas that are not consistent with each other. Okay, so you may have a phrase that is not consistent with another phrase, or a statement or a sentence that is not consistent with another one. Okay, or you may have in the same statement, okay, ideas that are contradicting each other, like we see in a sentence, my unmarried sister is married to the bachelor. Okay, there are a number of ideas in this sentence, but they are contradicting each other, because normally when you're talking about my unmarried sister, it means that sister is not married, and then the sentence continues to talk about is married to a bachelor. Okay, we're talking about an unmarried sister, and this unmarried sister is now married to a bachelor. Okay, does it make sense here? No. So there are some ideas here that are contradicting each other. Okay, another aspect of meaning is ambiguity. Normally ambiguity is used to refer to a term or even a word, a phrase or a sentence or any other form that has several meanings. Okay, so it is possible to have a word, a term, a phrase, and even a sentence that can be interpreted in more than one way. Okay, and sometimes when you engage in a conversation with other people, okay, you end up misquoting them. Okay, you end up misinterpreting, you end up getting the wrong meaning of what they are talking about because of the use of terms, phrases that are ambiguous, terms and phrases that have several meanings. Okay, there are different types of ambiguity. We can have a lexical ambiguity, like we saw in the word back. So with lexical ambiguity, we normally have a word or a phrase that has several meanings. Okay, so lexical ambiguity normally refers to when a word or a phrase has more than one meaning. Okay, and then there's also another type of ambiguity, syntactic ambiguity. This normally arises when a complex phrase or sentence can be interpreted in more than one way. Okay, as seen in this example, he ate the cookies on the couch. Okay, he ate the cookies on the couch. There are two meanings that we can get from this one. It might mean that the person ate the cookies that were placed on the couch, or the individual himself ate the cookies while he was sitting on the couch. So that's the syntactic, ambiguity. It's a sentence, okay, that is well constructed, but several meanings could be arrived at depending on the syntax of the sentence itself. There is also another type of ambiguity. This type of ambiguity is known as semantic, and this ambiguity normally applies, okay, when an individual wants to use an expression, okay, for instance, an idiomatic expression, okay. There are certain expressions that have been overused, okay, or certain expressions that are used, widely, okay, or maybe informally, okay, and sometimes their meanings have been diffused because of the way they've been, overused, okay. And you end up, for instance, if you're using the expressions in a conversation, people may wonder what you're referring to, okay. So what we're trying to explain here is that it is often the case with such expressions, especially expressions who have definitions that are rarely or never well defined, or are presented in the context of a larger argument that invites a conclusion, okay. We have an example of after one's own heart. It is an expression, an idiomatic expression, and this could mean sharing one's tasks, or it can also mean the type one likes or understands best. So the type one likes or understands best. So for one to arrive at the right meaning, the correct meaning, the context is very important. All right. Moving on to another aspect of meaning, entailment. Entailment tries to show, a relationship in which if one sentence is true, then the other one is also true. Okay. So normally this one can be explained when you have two sentences or even two phrases in mind. Okay. So the truth of one sentence is also implied in the other one. Okay. The truth of one sentence, or the truth that can be determined by one sentence, can also be applied to the truth of another sentence. So the example that is being used here to illustrate this is a sentence: many of the students were unable to answer your question, which entails only a few of the students grasped your question. So only a few of the students grasped your question. Okay, so we have seen how different aspects of meaning may help an individual to arrive at meaning. So we've seen the importance of pragmatic knowledge, we've seen the importance of semantic knowledge, we've also seen the importance of word knowledge. So semantic knowledge, pragmatic knowledge, as well as word knowledge. All these forms of knowledge are important. And apart from that, there are also other aspects of meaning that we need to take into consideration. Okay. There is synonymy, ambiguity, entailment, and so on. All right. So this topic has covered the study of meaning in human language, which is semantics, and it has also helped us in knowing what meaning is all about. Okay, so what is meaning of something? What is the meaning of a sentence? What is the meaning of a word? Okay. So answering the question of what meaning is all about, it requires considering some of the basic analytic notions used in evaluating meaning of words and sentences. So here we can go back to the other aspects of meaning that we've talked about. Okay, other analytic notions. Okay, other aspects of meaning where you're trying to see whether one sentence entails the other, whether you want to see whether a sentence is ambiguous, and so on. So by virtue of their meaning, words in sentences are able to enter into a variety of semantic relations with other words and sentences in their language. And these relationships help identify those aspects of meaning relevant to linguistic analysis. Okay, we've come to the end of the topic, but like we've done with the introductory one, you need to know the books that you need to consult for this topic to become even more clear to you. So here we have a list of books that you can consult, okay, starting with this one by Magian, okay, and then the second one by Leach, and then also Lyons, and another one by Lyons, okay, and then Ogden, there's also O'Grady and Palmer, and the last one Saidi. These are some of the books that you need to consult in order for this topic to become even more clear, in order for you to expand on what we have talked about today. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.